Hi everyone, it's Amanda from I Sew A Lot, and I'm here today with a quick video which is another 1 hour challenge, and today I'm going to try and make the Jennifer Lauren Gable top. And like I said in my previous plans video, I'm going to make this version, which is version 3, but I'm going to try and make a 3/4 length sleeve. So I'm going to try and do it in an hour. I haven't made this pattern before, so fingers crossed. I have cut out all my pieces and put my markings on, and as you can see now, I'm going to show you the time is, and I know it's back to front, but it's 8:07. So I'm going to try and get this done in an hour. Okay, so like I said, I haven't made this pattern before, so the first step, I believe, is to stitch together my side seams from my marked point to the outer shoulder. Excuse me, I'm in my pyjamas, my best way, my usual way to sew of an evening. And yeah, so first step is I'm going to pin my shoulders together and then I'm going to stitch those, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'm all pinned. As you can see, there's a marking here and I need to stitch to the armhole side from this mark, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, and so I'm just going to sew my shoulders together now. I'm just using a regular stitch, and I have a stretch needle in my machine, and my seam allowance is 1 centimetre. Okay, and my next step now is to add to my shoulder seams some clear elastic, which looks like this, and this is for stabilisation. And what we need to do is on the back piece, for the area that we've just sewn, we stitch our elastic to the back there. So I'm going to snip my elastic to the right length, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew that on. Okay, so I've stitched my elastic, as you can see. That's all stitched on, and hopefully that's going to stabilise my shoulders to stop them from stretching out. Now, so the next step is to add my sleeves. So the sleeves are inserted flat on this garment, so basically you just pin it together right side to right side so that the sleeve goes in the armhole, and then you sew one entire seam all the way down. So I'm going to pin that up, then we'll stitch it together. So that's one pinned onto the other. Okay, that's the second one pinned, but I have just realised actually that I think I have pinned my first one on the wrong way round. Yes, I have. So I'm going to have to undo that, which is going to eat into my time, but hopefully it's going to be okay. Okay, so my sleeves are now pinned in. We're going to stitch those on. We're now on 8:23, so I better get a wriggle on. Okay, so I'm going to stitch these. This is with the whole pattern, I think, is with a 1 centimetre seam allowance. So I'm going to stitch these all together. Okay, so that's done, and actually what I'm going to do is now I'm going to quickly hop over to the overlocker and I'm going to get those sleeve seams nice and neat. Okay, so just going to get those seams overlocked, and then we need to pin our body together, and then I think we only really have to sort the neckline out and hem, so we should do it. We're on 8:27 now, so we've got 40 minutes left, nearly. Okay, so I'm just going to overlock these arms, shoulder seams, and then we're on. Okay, so that's both my shoulder seams overlocked. Sorry I'm using navy, it's really hard for you to see. When I did the 1 hour challenge last time for the Paola, people asked me if they could do it just as quick with just a sewing machine if they didn't have an overlocker. And obviously I think, to be honest, especially if you're making it the first time, because when I tend to make things the first time, I'll sew them on my sewing machine and then I'll overlock them. So you're sewing everything twice, and I think if you're making it on your sewing machine, you could use a zigzag or a stretch stitch, and it would, to be honest, it would be quicker. So now I'm going to pin all the way down, and then I'm going to go back over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch it all together. Okay, so my fabric doesn't actually need that much pinning because it's sticking together quite nicely, and if you can avoid pinning, then that's better because it's quicker. So we're just going to stitch all the way down. At our 1 centimetre seam allowance. And I've actually cut the long sleeve version, but I'm going to see how I like the sleeves and what length I want to make them when it's all stitched together. So then when you get to the armpit, it makes it easier if you just straighten your seam. So instead of trying to sew around the armpit, if you just straighten it by pulling it down, then it just makes for a straighter and easier piece to manoeuvre. So we're nearly there, we're just at the waist now, because this pattern, it seems to be a really good length, because obviously I'm quite tall, so it looks like a really good length in the body, and it nips in at the waist and then comes out again for the hips, which is quite unusual for a jersey top, because normally they're pretty straight. But yeah, so that's one side done. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and then we're going to pop over to the overlocker and overlock it all as well. Okay, so before I overlocked, I just thought it might be a good idea to try it on. As I said, I haven't made it before. So as you can see, the shoulder width is a bit too large for me. So I'm going to have to take those in. Other than that, the waist fits pretty well. And like I said before, the body is really long, so that's really good. I'm not going to have to adjust that. And to be honest, I think I might pinch the sides in a little. And yeah, I'm going to take the shoulders in, so I'm just going to carry on the same line and probably about an inch. I need to come in about an inch, I think, just so they sit there. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I've adjusted it all. Unfortunately, it took me quite a lot longer than I thought it was going to, because I had to adjust it quite a lot. So I think I'm going to fail my challenge because I have only got 13 minutes left. So yeah, couldn't add my minutes together there. So yeah, all I have to do now is I have to pin down the neckline and top stitch that in place. And then we've got to sort the cuffs out, sleeves out, and do the hem. I think I'm going to put cuffs on this because I think actually it's going to be quicker and easier, because I've already got my cuff here really, because however I trim this off, it's already overlocked into a tube, so I can just put it on the end of my sleeve and overlock round, so it'd be super quick. So yeah, I'm going to top stitch my neckline now. So where we made a shoulder seam, where we put the stretch elastic in, this needs to be stitched flat to the body and holding the neckband down all along the front. So I'm going to do that now with a top stitch length stitch. Okay, so I've tried it all on and it all seems to fit fine. So what I'm going to do now, because I've stitched my sleeves together, I've marked where I think I want them to be to come. So what I'm going to do is, and we're getting really close, we've only got 5 minutes left, so I think we're going to be slightly over an hour. But I'm going to cut where I've marked it, straight across my sleeve, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that amount that I just cut off to make my template for the other sleeve, so I get them exactly the same length. So I'm going to lay that on top, as you can see, I'm going to lay that on top of my sleeve when it comes to here. So I'm just going to trim off in exactly the same place. And then I'm going to use these sleeve pieces to make my cuffs. So I am going to turn it over and see roughly how big I want my cuff. So probably about 2.5 inches, something like that. So then I'm going to put a little mark where I want it to be. with my chalk pencil, then turn it back out, and then I'm going to snip that so that this is going to make my cuff. I mean, I know it's going to be shorter on one end than the other, but it won't matter once it's stitched on. So then I'm going to use my other sleeve piece that I had left over, lay that on top so I get it exactly the same length, and I'm going to snip across there, and then I'm going to turn these so they are wrong sides together, like this, lining up my side seams nicely, like this, and there are my cuffs. And then I'm going to take my sleeve and I'm going to place this over the top, everything is right side out, and line up my side seams, and I'm going to pin that on, and then I'm going to overlock it straight away. I'm not going to bother with stitching that on the sewing machine. I'm just going to go into overlock that straight away, and then hopefully that should be done. So I'm going to do that now. And then all we've got left is to hem. Okay, so unfortunately I have failed on my 1 hour challenge. As you can see, it's 9:08, so I'm 1 minute over. I have my cuffs on, and all I have left to do is to press my hem and stitch it. That's all I have left to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to give you a time check at the end to see how much longer it takes me. Hopefully not longer than about 10 minutes, because I want to watch Taboo and it's on at 9 o'clock. So I think it's 9:15, so I want to get that done and then go and watch Taboo with my husband. So yeah, I'm just going to press that under, and then I'm going to stitch it up. Okay, as I've gone over my time anyway, I thought it would be a good time to show you how I stitch my hems, which is with a twin needle. So as you can see, I have got my main thread here, and then I have an extra spool. I've threaded them both exactly the same, and they're coming out the bottom, and I've got my twin needle in. So I've also pressed over my fabric, and I've done quite a chunky hem, because I think that stops you having the wavy hem issues, and I'm just going to stitch that with my twin needle. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my garment right side out with my hem folded under here. So I'm just going to place it under as normal. I'm going to do mine at 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. I've got both my spools in the top, and my sewing machine is not that keen on using a twin needle. I think it's probably my technique. I probably am doing something incorrect with my extra spool. But yes, it doesn't seem to be that happy when I do it. So I just like to take it really nice and slow, and there's nothing scary about a twin needle. You just thread it exactly the same as if you were threading a single needle, but just both threads come through the same way. Obviously one in one needle and one in the other. So like I say, I'm trying to take it really slow because mine is not 100% on stitching with a twin needle, so I'm nearly there. So round we go, a little bit braver. Sometimes my threads break. I think it's something to do with my extra spool and the tension on my extra spool. And I'm using a 3.5mm stitch length, because I think when you use a twin needle as well, you want it to be nice and loose, because if I can just show you, if we can get a bit closer, on the reverse you have a zigzag. You can't really see because it's hidden by my overlocking, but there it is. So stitched all nice, and also if you have a longer stitch length, then it prevents tunnelling, which is where your tension is too tight and your rows of stitches seem to pinch together, and that happens if your stitch length is too small. So I am all done. My time is 9:17, so it's taken me 1 hour and 10 minutes exactly, and I'm just going to try it on and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. Fantastic. Okay, so it's the morning. I thought I would probably get some nicer shots in the morning because the light was so terrible. Although I've got to have the light on because it's so gloomy today, it's horrible. Okay, so it's all finished. Here it is. As you can see, the neckline is top stitched along here. I'm going to show you the shoulders, which I really like this feature, although because, like I said before, my shoulders are small. If you had you know, not so narrow shoulders and I hadn't had to adjust it so much, you wouldn't be able to see your bra strap. So it might be worth, and I might even undo my top stitching and pinch it back together. But as you can see, the shoulders now fit just in the right place. It fits all nicely under here. I took it in quite a lot, and the length is the perfect length for me. I'm 5'8". I love the hip measurement, that's really nice, and it's really good on the waist. So, 1 hour and 10 minutes, unfortunately just over an hour, but I think if I hadn't had the fitting issues, then I definitely could have got it done in just under an hour, because I think I tried it on and re-stitched it 3 times. So I'm now going to adjust my pattern pieces so that next time I know exactly that it will fit me just right. So yeah, that's it, have a go. If you do manage to sew this and you manage to sew it in under an hour, then tag me at AmandaTurner1977 on Instagram and I would love to see. So thanks for watching, bye!